The Gita says, when virtue declines, I move a man amongst men to set virtue back on its seat again. In every age, when virtue declines, there's always men come to reestablish virtue. And that will be done. That's the only saving grace that we have. And if it wasn't for the idea of God and the masters and the great ones, what would we have? If you should eliminate from your mind the idea of God and the great ones, what would there be to console you? You wouldn't have anything. How wonderful it is that we have those colossal men that have been with us, that they come and they go, and then they come back again to help those in this suffering world, and especially in this particular phase of human evolution. Because mostly it's just sorrow, strife, and grief all the time. But deep within your own self is that great oasis of peace and joy and bliss. And you can enjoy that when you learn how to meditate deeply enough. And just meditate yourself into it. Sooner or later, by your daily efforts and by daily practice, you can do that. The darkness that you see when you're concentrated at the point between the eyebrows, it may come to you in different ways, and it may come like a speck of light, maybe a large one, maybe the specks all over the periphery of your consciousness. But as Paul Brunton says, there will be a time come when all those specks of light will become one great pleroma of light, when your spiritual eye is completely open. Or you may begin by looking through a tunnel. Looks more like a tube, maybe 50 feet in diameter. You're at one end of it, and the other end of it you can see into space. You can see into the vast consciousness of everything that there is. And you may see a star, and you will see a star sometime, the star of meditation. And that is described in the Bible as the star of the east that the wise men followed. And you can see the stars of the universe everywhere. And as Master says, we have one of the greatest telescopes right within our own selves that no science will ever be able to make equal to. And each and every one of us has that, if we begin to learn how to use it. And then, too, when you're quiet and still, you can hear the inner voice. And when your inner sight is open and when your inner ear is open, listening to counsel out of the infinite consciousness, out of the trackless void, and when we realize that we can have conscious communion with this great indwelling presence, it's a great realization. It's one of the greatest realizations. But when we're all shut off from divine communion, we have no knowledge of that. We've lost that knowledge. But at one time in the ancient and mystic past, we know that is part of our inheritance. So this morning, as we sit quietly, just forget all about yourself. Forget all of your desires, thoughts, worries, and cares. And just withdraw the mind from anything and everything that bothers you or your mind is attracted to. Tighten your concentration a little bit. You might even squeeze your eyebrow just a little tiny bit. And if you'll do that every day, you will become sensitive. Your pineal gland will become very sensitive, and that is the organ of psychical sight. And just to keep working with yourself a little bit, practicing, and then eventually lose yourself till your mind becomes quiet and still, and then it will be free from your desires, thoughts, worries, and cares, And then you will you will realize what all the religions of the world are trying to teach. You will be nicely on your way. There is a Christian song that has words like these. Still, still with thee till the purple morning breaketh, as the bird waketh and the shadows flee. Oh, in that hour fairer than daylight dawning, dawns the sweet consciousness, I am with thee. Alone with thee among the mystic shadows, in the solemn hush of nature newly born, alone with thee in breathless adoration, in the calm dew and the freshness of the morn, alone with thee among the mystic shadows, in the solemn hush of nature newly born, alone with thee in breathless adoration, in the calm dew and the freshness of the morn. So shall it be at last in that bright morning, when the soul waketh and the shadows flee. Oh, in that hour fairer than daylight dawning, dawns the sweet consciousness, I am with thee.